Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
I came home, there was a man in my house. He had an artificial arm.
Are you saying that I killed my wife? Are you saying that I crushed her skull and that I shot her?
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. We have a fugitive that's been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven ground, barring injury, is 4 miles an hour. That will give you a radius of 6 miles. What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or dog house in this area. Checkpoints will go up at 15 miles. Your fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema Podcast, episode 46. Today we'll be discussing The Fugitive. I'm your host, Jimbo, and yes, this is not a ghost. This is not a, I don't know what you want to call it. This is not a mirage. We actually have found, I had to send out a special request to Tommy Lee Jones to go out and find him, but here he is. You going to say something? Or
yeah, hello, it's me. Terence.
Who's me? Okay, okay, now we know who you are. So Terence has finally decided to join us back up again. So he's had some rough go-arounds lately. But he came through this week. Well, for at least this episode. He's kind of like the groundhog. He comes out, sees a shadow, and he goes back away for like a year. Yep, The Fugitive. We were supposed to cover this about a month and a half ago, or whatever, right after Lost Boys, I think. But yes, he's back. So, Terence, I'm not going to let you get off without a question today, so we're going to throw this out here. What would you say is your top 2 favorite Tommy Lee Jones movies?
Ooh, top 2 favorite Tommy Lee Jones movies. Men in Black, for one.
The first one?
Yeah, the first
one.
The second one, I would say this. His acting is incredible in this.
Right.
And I'm thinking of all the Tommy Lee Jones movies, and I'm just like, this one just really stands out.
Right. I think he does an outstanding performance in this, but one that I'm always going to be partial to is when he played Two-Face.
Oh,
Batman.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, the thing about those Batman movies, they were so over-the-top comic book looking that they were perfect,
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
I mean, it fit the sort of, bombasticness of the comics at the time, And,
right.
So, yeah, it worked.
So, there you have it, Terence. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this. It's been a while.
It has. All right. So, The Fugitive, release date August 6, 1993. Its budget was $44 million. The box office, it made $368.9 million. This movie runs at about 2 hours and 10 minutes. This was directed by Andrew Davis, who also directed two other movies that are notable that he also directed were Holes and Collateral Damage.
Holes, man. I haven't seen that movie in years.
Holes, man. All right, so writing credits goes to Jeb Stewart, screenplay, David Tohey, screenplay and story, Roy Higgins, characters, and then we also have additional writer contributions to Robert Mark Kuman, David Newman, David Glear, and Walter Hill also contributed to the script. Then, uncredited, we have Tommy Lee Jones and Andrew Davis, who also contributed to writing on the script. We have the technical specs, which is this is in Dolby Stereo for 4 channels, so you can get all around the living room sound with this one. Camera Panavision, camera and lenses. Laboratory was in Astro Color Lab, Chicago, Illinois, so that's pretty rare. It's not too often we see films edited in Chicago.
Right, it's usually out west.
Exactly, yeah. Which is where it was also edited for The Prince, which was Technicolor Hollywood, USA. Aspect ratio, 1.85 by 1. So that's a new interesting ratio. Then we have film length, 3.577 meters in Sweden. Negative format, 35 millimeter, also horizontal. Cinematographic process is spherical and VistaVision for the effective shots. There's a lot of really interesting and I think incredible cinematography, and you'll see later in the awards how they were recognized for that. Then we have the cinematographer, which was Michael Chapman, and this was edited by Don Brochu, David Finfure, Dean Goodhill, Dov Honing, Richard Nord, and Dennis Vickler. Production company is Colston Entertainment.
I don't think we've heard of that either.
That's a new one. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the first time we've mentioned production company in general. So we actually had a production company to find with this one. And this was distributed by Warner Brothers.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, now off to the awards.
Ta-da.
So we have the Academy Awards USA 1994. It won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Tommy Lee Jones. Then we have the nominations for Best Picture, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, Best Sound and Best Effects and Sound Effects Editing, and Best Music Original Score. And we have the Golden Globes USA 1994. They won a Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in a Motion Picture, Tommy Lee Jones. You're going to see that a lot. They were also nominated for Best Director in Motion Picture, Best Performance by an Actor in Motion Picture, Drama, obviously Harrison Ford. Then we have the BAFTA Awards, 1994. They won BAFTA Film Award for Best Sound, which included John LeVue, Bruce Stampler, Becky Sullivan, Scott D. Smith, Donald O. Mitchell, Michael Herbick, and Frank A. Manetto.
Can I just say you're doing an outstanding job on the names today?
Some of them I know I got wrong, but I'm just blasting through it.
But also, I do believe that is like one of the few times that we've actually mentioned a woman's name in the awards, too, that I can remember. Maybe outside of wardrobe, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, there's been a handful in both writing, editing.
So go ahead and give me a few.
Oh, I know off the top of my head. I don't have that kind of memory. All right. Then we have, they were nominated for the BAFTA Awards, Best Actor in Supporting Role, Best Editing, and Best Special Effects. Then we have the 2020 Awards in 2014. Nominee, they got a Felix for Best Sound Design and Best Film Editing.
Did you say a Felix?
Yeah, that's what the award is called. It's called the Felix. Then we have the American Cinema Editors USA 1994. They were nominated for Best Edited Film Feature. Now off to American Society of Cinematographers, USA 1994. They were nominated for Outstanding Achievement in Cinematography in Theatrical Releases, Michael Chapman. So it's not too often that, you see cinematographers sort of highlighted, but I thought it was cool that there's a whole award ceremony for it. Then we have the ASCAP Film and Television Music Awards 1994. So they won for top box office films, James Newton Howard. Awards Circuit Community Awards 1993. So they were nominated for a lot of things. They didn't win anything, but they were nominated for Best Actor in Supporting Role, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, and Best Original Score. So the score has been mentioned a lot. It is a really good score. Unfortunately, at least not yet, hasn't been mentioned in winnings. Then we have the awards of the Japanese Academy. So 1994, nominee for the award of Japanese Academy for Best Foreign Film. Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. 1994, winner of Blockbuster Entertainment Award. Favorite Actor, Action on Video, Harrison Ford. Chicago Films Critics Association Awards 1994, nominee for the CFCA Award. We have Best Supporting Actor, Tommy Lee Jones, Best Picture, and Best Director. Cinema Audio Society, USA 1994. So we're seeing a lot of new, interesting awards.
Right.
And you'll see the one I chose to do a little background on. So, winner, the CAS Award. For Outstanding Achievement in Sound Mixing for Feature Films. That's Donald O. Mitchell, Michael Herbrick, Frank O. Manato, and Scott D. Smith for re-recordings and the production mixers. Dallas-Fort Worth Film Critics Association Awards 1994, nominated for Best Picture. Directors Guild of America, USA 1994. They were nominated for Outstanding Directional Achievement in Motion Pictures. Edgar Allan Poe Awards, 1994. They were nominated for Best Motion Picture. Now we have the Golden Rooster Awards, 1995. And this is the one that I decided to do a little background on.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
And it's really interesting. So they got their name because when they first did these awards in 1981, it was the year of the rooster. And that's why they call it the Golden Rooster Awards. This award recipients basically got a giant golden rooster, and the people who selected the winners and whatnot were a jury of filmmakers, film experts, and film historians. And this is basically the equivalent of the Academy Awards in China. So I thought that was really interesting. It's a lot bigger than I thought.
Well, not only that, but you would think that we would have seen some of those awards already with some of the movies we've covered, if it's like the Academy Awards over in China.
Yeah. Well, I also think that you're also comparing foreign films, so that's everywhere around the world, and I'd imagine that we're competing with
right. But here's what you need to realize. I found this, and I was going to throw it in somewhere, but this is the perfect spot to throw it in. This was the first American movie shown in Chinese theaters in over 40 years. Audiences accustomed to local movies were blown away when they saw it and became a huge hit over there. So,
oh, wow, okay.
It was the first movie in 40 years that had been in China.
Well, that explains everything.
Right. So maybe that's why there haven't been any awards over there since then. Because,
it's only been out since 1981. So,
but what I'm saying is, if this is the first time something's been shown over there in 40 years, then it wouldn't matter when it started. 93 was the first time that a U.S. movie's been shown over there.
And that was 95. So that
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's almost 10 years the awards went on before an American film got an award. It's very interesting. Then we have the Hubabao Films Awards in 1995.
Way to fumble that.
The winner of Outstanding Translated Foreign Film. So I imagine this is another award ceremony that's somewhere overseas. Kansas City Film Critics Circle Award 1993. Winner for Best Supporting Actor, Tommy Lee Jones. Another winning Best Supporting Actor, Tommy Lee Jones, and the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Awards in 1993. Then we have the Motion Picture Sound Editors, USA 1994. They were nominated for Best Sound Editing and Visual Effects. Last couple ones, we have the MTV Awards 1994. Oh man, remember when they did that?
I remember when MTV used to actually play music videos.
I know,
too.
Right? Winner MTV Award for Best On-Screen Duo, Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones. Best Action Sequence for the film on the scene with the train wreck.
We'll talk a lot about that here in a minute.
Oh yeah. They were nominated for Best Movie and Best Male Performance, Harrison Ford. National Society Film Critics Awards, USA 1994. They were nominated for Best Supporting Actor, obviously Tommy Lee Jones. It tied with Leonardo DiCaprio for What's Eating Gilbert Grape which came out same year, and This Boy's Life. So it's interesting to see what they tied for in nominations. Mm-hmm. Then we have the New York's Film Critics Circle Awards 1993, Best Supporting Actor, Tommy Lee Jones. And then finally, the PGA Awards 1994, nominated for Outstanding Producer of Theatrical Motion Pictures.
All right, so let's go.
There's a lot. I mean,
there was a lot of
mostly
awards.
nominations, but there was definitely a lot of winning of awards. So,
But you know,
that goes to show how good of a movie
this is one of the movies that I actually read the book before I watched the movie. This, and I think Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Those
Very
two,
nice.
right? So, but I remember when I read the book and I saw the movie, this was almost exactly to the T of the book, which I thought was amazing because
nice.
it usually doesn't go that way, or the book's usually better. You know what I
They
mean?
always take some liberties somewhere.
Right. So the cast. So when we get to this part, there's going to be some people playing certain parts that were tried out or one they wanted, and we'll see what you think if they could have pulled it off, Terence. So, of course, Harrison Ford, yes, Han Solo, played Dr. Richard Kimball. Are you ready for this list?
Let's hear it.
Kevin Costner. Yes or no? Do you think he could have played
I can
it?
see Kevin Costner.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I didn't kill my wife.
That would have changed this movie completely, and then we'd be having a different conversation, I think.
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
That would be an interesting
That
one.
would be interesting, yeah, for sure.
Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Michael
Definitely.
Keaton. Yeah.
Alec Baldwin, he was actually the first choice
Really?
play, right? But I don't know if I could see him.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if
Richard
when
Gere?
when I imagine an Alec Baldwin, I think of now Alec Baldwin. I don't think of 1993 Alec
Right.
Baldwin. You know.
What about Richard Gere? I think he
I
could
can
have
see
done
Richard
it.
Gere. Yeah.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. See, once again, I got to think about a younger Jeff Bridges.
Right.
I can see. You know what? Yeah, I can see Jeff Bridges.
What about Al Pacino?
Al Pacino? I think he can pull it off. He's a very dynamic actor. He's done so many different
This
roles.
one, Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve. Yeah.
So this was pre.
The accident.
Right. I could see that. Mel Gibson.
I'm just
And
gonna,
Terrence is stunned.
I'm just gonna say let's be I'm of two minds of this. He could probably have pulled it off, especially around that time. He was in a lot of big movies. But B, glad he didn't.
And the last one, Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte.
They said, but he was tired of making action movies, so he's like, nah.
I could see that.
So we had Tommy Lee Jones as the Deputy U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard. Here we go, Gene Hackman.
I can only see Tommy Lee Johnson.
John Voight.
It's. Oh, man,
See, you said you could only see now. Now you're like, and the other one was Mel Gibson, so he must have tried out for both of them. Or
yeah, no, I'm really glad they went with Tommy Lee Jones because it's just phenomenal in that role.
Sella Ward played Helen Kimball. Joe Pantoliano, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Terrence did, but he was the Deputy U.S. Marshal Cosmo Renfro. Andreas Katsoulis as Frederick Sykes. Jerome Crabe as Dr. Charles Nichols. Actually, Richard Jordan actually filmed some of the scenes with Harrison Ford before he became too ill to carry on. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, so Daniel Roebuck as Deputy U.S. Marshal Robert Biggs, Tom Wood as Deputy U.S. Marshal Noah Newman, L. Scott Caldwell as Deputy U.S. Marshal Aaron Poole, Johnny Lee Davenport as Deputy U.S. Marshal Henry, Julianne Moore as Dr. Annie Eastman. Ron Dean as Detective Kelly, Joseph Kosala as Detective Rossetti, Jane Lynch as Dr. Kathy Walland, Dick Cusack as Attorney Walter Guthrie, Andy Romano as Judge Bennett, Nick Searcy as Sheriff Rollins, Eddie Bo Smith as Copeland, Neil Flynn as a transit cop, Richard Reel as an old guard, Kirsten Nelson as hospital secretary, David Darlow as Dr. Alec Lentz, Frank Ray Perrell as corrections officer, and Lester Holt. Yes, the Dateline Lester Holt.
I was like, wait a minute.
He played a newscaster.
Oh.
It's actually him.
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
is.
Huh.
Terence, would you like to give a synopsis off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, man gets accused of murdering his wife and then goes on the run while pursued by a ever so tenacious yet by the book police officer.
Right. So we'll go ahead and let's just go ahead and give an overview of the movie before we start in this. So Harrison Ford plays Richard Kimball. He's a doctor.
Yep.
And they're at this gala and he wins a prestigious award. Or his wife's there for this big gala for whatever. I can't remember what it was. So they go home. Basically, they're driving home or they're driving back, and they're saying, "Hey," they gets a call, say, "Hey, we need you to come into work." And he's like, "No," and he's like, "Well, there's no, they're going to die if you don't get here." So
yeah,
he hangs up. He's really upset. So you see him in the operating room operating or whatever, and basically he gets home, and but see, the thing I like about this is they leave it wide open at the beginning.
they really do,
and we'll talk about that in a minute. But so basically, he gets home, his wife's dead. You see him getting charged for the murder, but you don't know what's going on right now. And he gets they're transferring him from this prison to another maximum security prison. The bus, some convicts on there, basically stabs or shoots a couple of the guys. The bus comes to a resting stop on a train track. A train's coming. Harrison Ford jumps off with this other guy, and now he's on the run, and they call in the U.S. Marshals to come in. This is where Tommy Lee Jones come in, Samuel Gerard, and they're basically manhunting Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford, this whole time, has claimed he was innocent. So now he's really crazy because he's going back into the city that he was wanted to prove his innocence, to find the person that killed him, because he says a one-armed man did it when he was wrestling with him. And Tommy Lee Jones, and it's a great. If you haven't seen this movie, man, it's one of my probably top 10 favorite movies of all time. Just because it starts off and it doesn't stop. It's just total nonstop movement, action all the way across.
Very well paced, very well done.
Right. So, like we were talking about the opening scene, it's just giving you little pieces. Like it'll show him at the party, and then it'll show him his wife getting thrown around the room. And you don't know what's going on, and
it's giving you snippets of kind of what's going on, which they elaborate later, which is really, really good, worked out well in this movie.
Right. And the part that always gets me is Richard's coming home, and his wife's on the phone with 911. Yep. And this is what basically puts him away, because she's on the phone. I wonder, she's like, help! He's trying to kill me, and they're like, who, ma'am? Who's trying to kill you? And in her voice, Richard, because she hears him coming up the stairs. It's not that Richard's trying to kill her; it's that she's trying to warn Richard he's still here, basically. Yep. And then the guy hangs up the phone or whatever. You know what I mean? And then there's a big scuffle, and Harrison Ford or Richard Kimball basically knows it's a one-armed man, because when he was wrestling with him, it popped the prosthetic out of his joint.
Popped off.
Right. So that opening scene, and then it goes, they go to the court and they say, well, let's hear it from your wife's own words from the grave. Yep. And they play that recording of 911, and basically
that's pretty much
signed, sealed, delivered. Yep. You know what I mean? So here we go. We'll talk a little bit about the fun stuff. When Harrison Ford's running through the woods, he actually damaged some of his ligaments in the as he tripped or fall. He damaged some of the ligaments in his leg.
Oh, dang! He
refused to take surgery until the end of filming.
Oh, geez!
So that his character would keep the limp the rest of the movie. So any scene after that is subsequently when you see him running, you can always see
about keeping continuity.
You always see him kind of stumbling. You know what I mean? And I thought it was just acting, but it's actually he's hurt. Harrison Ford was the first actor to sign on the film in September 1992, and personally agreed with Andrew Davis directing the film after seeing Under Siege in 1992 and being very impressed with the results.
Nice.
There's a lot of stuff I'm going to cover here, but there's certain things I got grouped together that we'll go back and talk. So we'll be jumping around this movie for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
when the police are interrogating Richard Kimball, remember they got him in there and they're interrogating. It was all improvised. He didn't know what questions were going to be asked from him. You know, I mean, he didn't want to know. You know, so when he sat there, and, you know, he kind of got that dazed. Like Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones improvised a lot of their scenes. They said. Harrison Ford and the producers argued over if he should be sentenced to death or if he should be life in prison. Yeah. They filmed it both ways, they say. But in the end, the producers won out. So, Harrison Ford shadowed doctors at the University of Chicago Medical Center to prepare for his role. He said, "It allows you to move and act as if you've done things 100 times."
He really invested in his role.
Well, I mean, you know, sometimes you need to do that, and so it doesn't look totally stupid. You know, I mean, like a doctor wouldn't do that.
You know, Dr. Richard Kemp,
because it is based on a true story.
Yeah.
We'll get to some of that here in a little bit. We'll get to some of that here in a minute. Here's one thing I forgot to throw out when you were going through. This was the as of 2017. This was the biggest number of film editors nominated for the Oscar, with a total of 6 editors. Usually it's only 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But this was also the 4th highest grossing film in 1993. So I'm going to give you the top 5, but this was number 4. Number 1 was Aladdin, because Disney is king.
Yeah,
right. 2, Jurassic Park.
Okay, yeah.
3, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay.
4th, The Fugitive. And 5, Schindler's List. What a group of movies there.
Wow.
All in 1993. There was some other stuff like Hot Shots Part 2. You know.
I feel like we've covered another movie in 1993.
We did.
We were like, there's so many good movies out.
Right.
Yeah.
The credits run over the first 14 minutes of the film, so if you're watching all that stuff, I thought that was pretty cool too. Because sometimes when they show the credits, you're not really paying attention, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It loses their thing. Tommy Lee Jones used to argue that his character, being concerned for the welfare of innocents around him, would never fire after Kimball inside a crowded building such as the courthouse. The dispute caused a brief delay in filming, but the director finally convinced Jones to do it as scripted. Tommy Lee Jones, from everything I've read, he was very influential, or he wanted things done a certain way, and he was not opposed to telling them what he wanted. Yeah. Which I found an interview. I'll probably put it in here at the end, and I found one with Harrison Ford when they're talking about the future. So I'll probably put them at the end. That way, we don't have to cut and copy and paste and all that. So, according to Harrison Ford, the studio was not happy with the beard. They figured they paid for the face they wanted to see, so they were concerned about the beard. Which I think it was perfect, because when he was going on the run, he shaved it off. You know what I mean?
It worked out.
The filming began before the script was actually completed.
That actually happens a lot.
Right.
So I'm not surprised.
Here it is. An NBC Nightly News anchor, Lester Holt, is one of the reporters outside the hotel at the end of the movie. But Harrison Ford has never seen a single episode of the television series The Fugitive, which the film is based on.
Oh, yeah.
I know Terence probably hasn't seen an episode of it either.
No, I have not. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people.
The weather was so cold, the crew filmed some of the scenes that Tommy Lee Jones recalled that the batteries on the camera kept freezing.
Oh, geez.
The screenplay spent 5 years in development, going through 9 writers and 25 different drafts.
I'm not surprised about the amount of drafts. Like, especially nowadays, scripts in the writing room will go through. No one keeps track anymore.
Right, but that movie we covered before, remember, where they start writing something, and then somebody comes in and they nix half the script, and then somebody else comes in and nix half, you know what I mean? So 9 writers is crazy. The river was so cold that the crews kept tubs of hot water off camera to keep Harrison Ford warm. The location of the dam, we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit too. But the dam used in the exterior shots is the Chioa Dam, Tapaco, Graham County, North Carolina. The dam can be viewed clearly from North Carolina State Highway 129, just north of Tapaco. So that's interesting. I'd like to go visit that sometime. Davis, was he the director? Is that what you said, director?
Andrew Davis, yeah.
They said he tried to avoid using artificial light whenever possible, which I think it worked in this movie too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean that's there's a lot of different directors who try to accomplish that, but during certain movies and certain scenes, it's just really difficult to do without. So, but the fact that he pulled it off is great.
Right. After the movie came out, the Hilton offered tours to show where the movie was filmed.
Oh, that's cool.
I'd love to do it.
Think they still do that?
I don't know. I'm sure somewhere, maybe a little town that they filmed in. You know what I mean? The "I don't bargain" speech Gerard gives to Newman after rescuing him from being taken hostage was written by Tommy Lee Jones. Jones did not like the way it was written in the script and thought it didn't sound natural enough for a conversation between the two men, both coming down from an adrenaline rush, and one of which was shell-shocked would have. Director Andrew Davis agreed and let Jones reword the dialogue as he saw fit.
So there's where that writing credit goes.
Right. Well, that's just part of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm sure he voices his opinion on various amount of things.
L. Scott Caldwell, who is Marshall Poole, and Daniel Roebuck, Marshall Biggs, both portrayed castaways on Lost, the TV show. Caldwell played Rose Nadler, and Roebuck played cranky science teacher Dr. Leslie Arts. So,
Good old Lost.
Right. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So you see my notes. I got them spread all over the place, like normal. Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones only share 4 scenes in the entire film where they exchange dialogue. The tunnel, in the laundry, on the phone, and in the car. So that's pretty crazy for this.
Here's something I found when I was looking at the movie. In the end, originally, there was supposed to be dialogue between Dr. Kimball and the sheriff. But they decided it was best to have no dialogue, just because it felt more impactful and it just said a lot more than actually trying to say something. Which I agree, it's a very, very good ending.
Right, and the ending, what I thought was really cool about this ending was when Tommy Lee Jones finally, Harrison Ford, they walk out of there and they get in the cop car and he leans over and he unlocks his handcuffs, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And he gives him some ice to put on his hands or whatever. So I think he finally realized, hey, he really didn't do it, and he was just trying to prove his innocence, even though it was his job to find him.
Yeah.
Because he was convicted in a court of law.
Yeah, the end definitely showed this
but you know what?
Respect between the two.
Well, we'll just park right here for a second. But even though he didn't kill his wife, he broke a ton of laws. So he's still going to have some repercussions after this. It's not like, he's going to be a free man or whatever. No, because, let's say he did what? He stole the clothing. He broke into the house. He broke into the hospital, into the different things and all that. So I'm sure he's going to catch a case or two. Yeah, something. Here we go. Let's see. At the start of the film, like we talked about, the various flashbacks to the murder do not show the one-armed man. They leave open the possibility that the doctor is indeed guilty. Unlike in the television series on which the film is based, they actually... it's only after the doctor escapes do you see the flashback confirming his version is true, which, if you remember when he's in the woods and he falls over and he starts having them flashbacks of like his wife, and it's just very well put together. It kept me entertained. In real life, after having proven he was not guilty of the murder of his wife, Richard Kimball would likely still face... here we saw about among crimes of robbery, identity theft, forgery. He would not be automatically forgiven.
Yeah.
This is rated U, unrestricted public exhibition in India.
Huh.
This is one of the few action films where Harrison Ford doesn't kill anyone.
That's true.
Almost everything he kills somebody.
That's very true.
If you pay close attention, in the background, you see different things that point to Harrison Ford. Like there's a Ford truck, and there's also the Harrison Hotel. So they put a little play on the words.
That's funny.
The real Dr. Kimball lost his medical license and became a professional wrestler. And his finisher was the mandible claw, as portrayed by Mick Foley. So I thought
what a career change.
I know.
You can't be a doctor, so what are you going to do? You know what? I think I'll be a professional wrestler. I've
Right.
always wanted to do that.
So let's talk about a couple of scenes in this movie that stand out. Number one, probably the biggest one, is the train scene.
Yeah.
The wrecked train and the bus remain a tourist attraction still in Dillsboro, North Carolina. You want to take a road trip?
Let's do it.
What? Well, you got to take a break, Terence?
I got to pee.
All right, we're back. Terence has came back. Looks a lot better now. Want to do the dance. So, let's see, what are we talking about? We're talking about the train,
Yeah,
weren't
the
we?
train and the bus.
Andrew Davis only had one chance to crash the train.
Oh.
And he had to get it right. So he consulted an array of engineers, stunt doubles, and the insurance company to predict what would happen. The train was expected to crash into the bus at 35 miles per hour, but the director was in error. The train came in at 42 miles per hour.
Oh, no.
Nevertheless, the scene went directly That's playing. I was like, can you imagine?
Dang.
You have the insurance company and everybody standing by. Well, nobody needs to get hurt. It's only going to come at 35 miles an hour. But
Not that quick.
right.
Okay, that was a little quick.
The train was actually crashed for the movie, although Richard Kimball jumping free was a computer-generated image jumping over that. This is the part that I thought was interesting. It proved to be cheaper to use full-size locomotives at around $20,000 each, rather than creating the crash scene using miniatures. As the budget was quite tight, it was impossible to rehearse this key scene, and it was a one-shot deal. So I'm thinking, at $20,000 each, how many trains was like 5, 6 cars?
More
Than a miniature set.
that kind of blows my mind. How is a miniature set like way more?
Unless you had to have a special camera and film and all that, to zoom in and all that. But it was awesome. Like I said, the train scenes were filmed in Dillsboro, North Carolina. The engine used, which was not destroyed, now pulls a dinner train. During a ride on that train, props from the making of the film can be seen, including the prison bus and the shell of the engine that crashed into the bus. Dillsboro is next to the town of Sylvia, where the local hospital we used for filming the hospital scenes at the beginning of the film and the ambulance getaway. We are going to have to take a road trip, my friend.
Awesome. That's a lot of stuff.
Can you imagine being on the train? Just riding around, and it's like a movie buff's dream. You know what I mean? And it's a dinner car.
Right?
There you go.
Dinner and a show.
Let's see here. Okay, this is the next thing I'll talk about. Let me see if there's anything else here about the locomotive real quick. Yes. The locomotive wrecked was a former Norfolk and Western EMD GP30 536 C/N 27369.
For you train buffs out there.
Right. True. It was purchased out of the deadline of retired engines in the former Virginia Railway South Yard in Roanoke, Virginia, where it had been stored by 1992. It was repainted into the scheme of the fictional Illinois Southern Railroad, but kept its original road number. The crash was filmed on the Great Smoky Mountain Railroad near Dillsboro, North Carolina. We were talking about the real. Where did I go? Here it is. No,
The real Richard Kimball.
No. Oh yeah. Well, no, not the real Richard Kimball. But what I'm saying is the guy that played in the original television series.
Oh,
Richard Kimball.
Yeah.
He was played by David Jansen in the original Fugitive in 1963. His mother, Bernice Jansen, is an extra in the courtroom scene. You can spot her behind Harrison Ford's head when they play the 911 call, and when he is declared guilty, she is whispering with another woman. So they actually did a little throwback to her.
Here's a little interesting fact about the original Fugitive. So
That you've never seen.
That I've never seen. But I know this fact. So
I think you make up your facts some of the time in an alternate universe.
This is an actual fact. So
is this a T fact?
At the time, it wasn't common for television shows to end, to have the whole season finale type thing, just because at the time they believed that viewers didn't like to see things end. So the original show was one of the few shows that actually end around that time, that actually had a kind of a rush, but it did have an ending, because they're like, we have to give an ending to this just to see where what happens to him. But the show is just supposed to keep going and end like out of nowhere, like most television shows around that time. But it was actually one of the few that finished.
All right, and this I think was probably one of the most interesting things out of this whole thing that I found. The parade scene, the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yep.
It's not scripted. There was a late addition to Andrew Davis.
They did that.
A native of Chicago. He said he really wanted to capture the parade and was granted permission from the mayor's office to film the day of the parade. The entire sequence was shot with a handheld Steadicam. Without rehearsal, Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones went out into the crowd and did their thing, with camera operators running around trying to keep up. Ford observed that since his character was keeping a low profile, it meant he himself didn't stand out much and lasted several minutes in the crowd before he was being recognized.
Yep.
Also, he did get permission to walk with the plumbers union. He's like, we didn't stage anything. I just inserted myself in the middle of the parade. So Terrence, take it away. Tell me what you think of The Fugitive.
So this is an excellent, I would say, action
mystery thriller.
Action thriller. Yeah, let's put it in action thriller. Very excellent action thriller movie. If either of those two things are your vibe, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a very good movie based off a good book, based off actual events.
Right. It comes full circle.
It does. And then amazing performance by Tommy Lee Jones. Like, obviously, Harrison Ford, great performance. But this is some peak Tommy Lee Jones right
And
here.
I'm sure we probably played it in the trailer for this movie at the beginning, but if not, that speech where he gives when he pulls up on the scene and he's like, well, I'm taking over now, and then he's like, ladies and gentlemen, our fugitive's name's Dr. Richard Kimball. He's been on the run for 2 hours. We need to set up this square radius of 7 miles. He's like, I want to check every outhouse, hen house, dog house, warehouse. It's one of the greatest quotes of this movie.
It's so good.
Right. And that's why I was going to superimpose and say our fugitive's name is, I was going to have Tommy Lee Jones speak and say Terence Davis. It's like, we need to check every warehouse, outhouse around this Indiana for him. But, yeah, man, this movie, it's just something, and it holds up.
It does.
I just watched it again, and to watch it, even Harrison Ford's performance. I mean, you just see him with that. You can tell that he's sitting in that police station, and he's like, they're asking him questions, and then he's not really. He's like, my wife's dead. She died in my arms, and then you see the blood still on his shirt, and then he's like, and then all of a sudden he stops. He's like, you think I killed my wife?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we didn't. You said that. You came up with that. You know what I mean? And just to see how everything that he goes through, like, and you know what? He's even playing with Tommy Lee Jones. He calls him up. He say, "Hey, look, this is Richard Kimball," and he's like, "I didn't kill my wife." He's like, "But I'm on real close to finding out who did or whatever." And they hear the trolley bells or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, those trolley bells, they don't have them in wherever he was the crash happened." He's like, "He's back at the city," So he's in their city, and then just the whole. When he starts going through and he starts crossing off the one-armed man names, he went through the computer and he wrote down like the 20 names. Like he calls one of them's mom and said that he had died like 3 years ago, so he crosses him off the list. And he just the methodical way he did it. And then another touching scene is when he's in the hospital, and I think this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. He's in the hospital, and they're crowded, and they wheel that boy up, and he's like, he can't breathe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he comes up to him and
he decides to jump in.
Right, and the one guy just holds up the x-rays or whatever, or they didn't even look at their x-rays. They say, hey, he just needs to go, he can wait, he can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford, and they're like wheeling him down to this other room or whatever, and Harrison Ford, he stops
up the chart,
and he looks up here and he looks up there at the thing, and he starts wheeling him, he wheels him right past to like emergency surgery, and he's like, hey, this kid's got a whatever it was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he wouldn't have got him in there, it would have killed him.
Yep.
And I think that shows, and I think even when the nurse, even though because she calls him out, she's like, hey, where's this kid? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about,
Well,
and they call security on him.
Her, initially when they bump into each other, she tells him to take him to, she's like, oh, take him to, wherever. And then he's like, okay. And then that's when they looked at the chart. And then she bumps into him again. And then she's like, that patient never made it to this location. Instead, they ended up here. Like, why were you looking at the chart? And he's like, oh, it's just a hobby of mine to look at charts.
And she calls for security.
Yeah, and that's when it all just kind of seems suspicious to her. Right. So then she calls.
So then I think after a while, she starts thinking about it, and he's got a couple of friends on the inside too. But what it comes down to, and this is going to be the spoiler, but the ending is actually like one of his friends, his family friends, is actually put the hit out on basically, on his wife or what, or it was supposed to be him, I think.
Supposed to be him instead.
And he's the one that hired the one-armed man, and and he calls the guy. He's like, "Look, he's still here." You know what I mean?
Well, because Dr. Kimball was the only thing sort of standing in the way to him and selling a multi-million-dollar product, basically.
Right.
To which I don't remember his name, but the villain of the show, the antagonist, which you don't even know until pretty much the very end. He had tampered with some of the test results.
Right.
So then
they switched them out.
Yeah,
remember?
Exactly. Switched them out so it all looked good. when in all actuality it was a harmful drug.
Right, and another great scene of this, which we didn't even talk about, is the dam scene where Tommy Lee he's chasing him, and he is stuck, dude. He's like 200 yards up in the air, like at the other side of a dam, and he's like Richard, and he's like, look, he drops the gun. He's like, look, I didn't kill my wife, and Tommy Lee Jones says, I don't care. I love that scene. So you see, he's like, turn around, put your hands behind you. So he turns around. He's like, Richard, maybe she. So you see, he's like, don't do anything stupid. And he turns around, man, and he just jumps off that dam. You know what I mean? And so then you see Tommy Lee Jones, how dedicated he is. He's like, I want this river, swept or everything. And he said, he's probably swept away by the current and drowned. He's like, did you find the body? They're like, no. He's like, well, then you keep searching because he's out there.
So this is where I wanted to jump in and. This movie is a great showcase of not only cat and mouse, but two really intelligent characters portraying this whole cat and mouse chase. I mean, you have Dr. Kimball, who is all intelligent in his own right, and he does all this stuff about just being a doctor, but then, everybody basically gives to his credit that he's a very, very intelligent person. He kind of gets done what he puts his mind to. And then you have the U.S. Marshal, who is renowned for doing his job very well, and also very by the book, but and very tenacious in his chase. And it shows on both sides, like all the stuff you were highlighting with Dr. Kimball doing all those things, showing he was intelligent and compassionate. But then you also have Tommy Lee Jones's character, who the dam scene is a great example where. It shows his intelligence of the job. You're like, okay, just because he jumped doesn't mean I won't believe it until I see a body. So let's find that body.
Well, not only that, but when it's like a chess game, because not only when he calls and he says, look, I didn't kill my wife or whatever, and he hears that bell or whoever hears that bell, he's like, take the audio out, and then the conductor saying something, you know what I mean? Yep. And they give the actual name of the street or whatever, you know what I mean? He's like, that's right up, like 2 blocks up the road. Yep. And they all jump out and start running, you know what I mean?
That just shows, this whole cat and mouse. This whole
right, so even though Harrison Ford's calling him, he's like, oh, well, this is not like this. And then Harrison Ford, I got to, hide in the leaves or whatever, you know what I mean? Just this the whole thing. And another thing we didn't hit either was when the train crashes, he actually saves one of the guys that pulls him out. You know what I mean? And
he saves the security, one of the security guards on the bus.
He takes the handcuffs and runs away after that. But I'm just saying, it shows that because he was hurt and he couldn't get out of the train. Yeah. And it shows that he puts him over. And he almost cost him his life because when he jumps off the train. Yep. But it just shows you like that. You see the caring side of him. Like you have that, even everything he's went through. He saves that guy. He saves the kid. You know what I mean? Yep. And I just think that he was all around a good guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the way they got there was fantastic.
Absolutely, and I think even it shows that Tommy Lee Jones's character changed a little bit in the end, because throughout the movie you can see that like he just wants to do his job. He doesn't care whether he's innocent or guilty. And then, it shows at that damn scene where, he's like, I didn't kill my wife. And he's just like, I don't care.
Right.
And he really doesn't.
He does. He just wants to do his job.
Exactly. And then I think that's when, at the very end, when he takes off the handcuffs and gives him, some ice, and there's no words exchanged, but, there's this sort of mutual respect. But that also shows that he does care a little, but he won't come out and say it.
Right. And not only that, but to me, I wish it would have ended, given me a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like a post down the road a little bit. You know what I mean? Just something, like maybe just even words to say, hey, Dr. Richard Kimball was, charged with this or whatever. But they ended it right there. Maybe even where Kimball and him had I don't want to say a friendship, but like a respect for each other, meeting at the courthouse or something at the end. Just another little bit more dialogue. I would have liked to seen that, but I think it ended fine.
Absolutely.
It's still great. It just shows a cop car driving away, so...
In the end, we both really enjoyed this movie.
Man, it's a great movie. And I love Harrison Ford movies anyway. Not just Han Solo, but I mean, Witness. I mean, you got Clear and Present Danger. You've got Frantic. You've got a bunch of movies. Blade Runner. I mean, you've just been in a lot of stuff. Well, I think this episode's coming down to a close. Don't forget, you can check us out on thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com if you want to send us any comments. Leave us a review if you haven't left us a review yet. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, whatever it is.
A little bit on Google Play. So
I know Terence is a Google guy.
Yeah. So that whole platform, I guess, is switching over to. They're just dumping everything into YouTube.
But see, they got a new thing out called Google Podcast now too that we're on.
Yeah,
that's right.
so
I think I downloaded. Yeah, it's called Google Podcast.
Yep.
So,
Google Music has, which consisted of podcasts and everything else, had split into two entities. They made podcast its own thing, so it's now Google Podcast, and everything else like music and everything else is now moved over to YouTube. So any music that you had or anything that's now on YouTube, the YouTube Music app, and then podcasts have now gone to Google Podcast.
Right. So there's that. Also, if you haven't checked out our merchandise store, I know Patty Dawn Fields bought a coffee mug. I told her to go ahead and throw it up there on the Facebook, show us a picture of it when she got it delivered. But that's on Redbubble, Bubble. You can see we got shower curtains. I haven't got the Terence toilet paper in there. No, I'm kidding. But there's all kinds of different stuff: sweatshirts, hoodies, T-shirts,
Some mugs,
everything, water bottles,
coffee, tumbler,
right? There's like artwork you can hang on your wall. There's puzzles. We can be a puzzle.
a blanket.
A fleece blanket.
It's the cold days are coming.
Right. So there's that. And like I said, I'll put in the interviews that I found here at the end. So I'm going to pause here for a second so I can have a little space so I can edit it. So I'm going to pause right here real quick.
Tommy, this is the sanest we've seen you in quite a while.
That's very funny.
Can you tell us a little about your character? Still on the edge, but very sane.
Tell you about my character in The Fugitive. His name is Samuel Gerard, and he's chasing the star of the show, played by Harrison Ford. I mean, Harrison's the star of the show, and the character he's playing is a disenfranchised doctor, a decent American citizen who finds himself suddenly without a country, burdened with the quest of proving his innocence.
What about Gerard? What is his arc? Where's he going? What does he want?
He wants to catch the fugitive.
So when you as an actor, when you prepare for this role, he is an obsessive character, no?
Oh, sure, yeah. He's dedicated to his work.
But did you hang out with federal marshals, or how did you?
There were some marshals who visited the set. You could watch them. You could see how they moved and talked and thought, and how they felt, what was on their mind, and from moment to moment, you could see that. I didn't, run around with them, see what their day's work was like. I didn't do very much of that. I didn't find it very useful to the film. It wasn't really difficult to see how they looked.
What about the actual part itself? I mean, it's a very physical part. Did you do the stunts yourself?
Yes.
Do you enjoy doing the stunts?
No, I mean, I don't care who does a stunt. It's of no consequence to me. What I care about is the results. I care what it looks like on film. So I will do most of them. I'll do anything I'm capable of. And the closer the camera gets, or the bigger the lens, the more I'm going to do. But it's mainly just in the interest of good cinema. On this movie, I did all of my stunts, as I do on most movies.
You have really interesting choice of roles.
Thank you.
And they're all different from each other. What do you look for? What's working in your mind when you look?
Well, you look for a good script that's well made, that you think has a chance of improving the time of the audience. And then you consider who you're working with. important to work with good actors and to work with good directors that you know, that you understand, and that you all are of a single mind about what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's very important. And then you consider where you're going and the world you're going to enter. Most movies are made on location. Locations are an important part of movies these days. They not only provide the set, but they also do a great deal to inform the tone of a film and the feeling of it. So you want to give some consideration to the feel of the location. You want to shoot in places that have something to offer the world.
What about for the character that you're playing? Would you say that shooting in Chicago, you would play it differently than if you shot it, say, in Phoenix?
Oh yeah.
Could you elaborate?
I don't know. I mean, you ever been to Phoenix? Did it remind you of Chicago? No. So you do. You know.
This is the third time you're working with Andy Davis.
This is not to say that Phoenix is a bad place, but you're not going to be the same person in the same two places.
True.
Phoenix is a wonderful city.
The director, it's your third collaboration with him. Have you reached a point where you have to say very little to each other?
Oh, we say, you know, I love talking to Andy. We have a lot of things that we talk about. It doesn't take very long to exchange information on the subject of motion pictures and how to shoot them and what to do with the day's work. It doesn't take very long to get that figured out. And we can exchange a lot of information with a relatively small number of words. And that helps. But we talk about other things also. Schools for children, you know, sports, music, politics. Who's doing what to who on the crew.
You've got,
normal stuff.
You've got two Oliver Stone projects coming up. Could you tell us briefly a little bit about it?
Yeah, there's one movie will be out in December. It's called Heaven and Earth. It's the story of a Vietnamese farm girl who is born in the 1940s, lives through the war, marries an American GI, comes to the United States, and tries to live here. There's the next Oliver Stone film that I'm in is called Natural Born Killers, and we're shooting it now. And it's a satire, a comedy about a young, struggling couple of serial killers. And then after that, I'm going to go to Memphis to work on a movie called The Client, made from John Grisham's book and directed by Joel Schumacher. And then after that, I'm going to Boston to work with my friend Jeff Bridges on a movie about urban terrorism called Blown Away.
Perfect. So we'll be seeing you quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if all of these movies come out at the same time, we might be seeing me too much. I hope not.
Thank you very much.
Movie he ever does.
Really?
Because he's
done
really,
it all now.
He's a good guy, yeah. He said, can't do any more movies after that.
It ruined Ronald Reagan's career.
Yeah, well, he's done all good parts, though, so. Okay.
3, 2, 1, it's yours.
Did your body ever send a telegram to your brain during this that, are we back doing this running thing again?
It seems to be a consistent element in the films that I do, that there's a physical aspect to it. People keep remarking on the amount of physical action in this film. I don't really remember it that way. But I guess there is a lot of action.
Maybe it's stretched out over making of the movie, but we see you in the water, we see you run down a hall. I mean, it's Indiana Jones physicality almost anyway. Some of the places they put you, you're jumping off a dam, being chased by a train.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
All on a day's work.
Now, your knee got messed up in this?
The third weekend, I tore a ligament in my knee, which kind of slowed me down a little bit.
So that hobble in one of those scenes was real?
A hobble in each of the scenes is real.
So you didn't have to act too much for that. Huh? What are the fans? You know, you don't probably have that much contact with fans. I think you try to stay up in the hills of Wyoming. But what do fans want to know about you when you do contact them, or they do run into you at the grocery store or something?
Gee, I don't know that there's one consistent thing that people are interested in. And I think after this period, after this amount of time, people pretty much know the answers to these questions.
I wonder if things get brought up.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here is a good one. That is something they do ask. They reran the Star Wars trilogy the other weekend on the Sci-Fi Channel with Carrie Fisher, and I watched that boy Harrison Ford that was doing those. You were a pretty young whippersnapper back in 1977.
Well, I was older than the director and the producer.
It was fun.
I was the oldest one around, other than Alec Guinness.
But it
I was about 35 when I did that.
Really?
Yeah.
You looked about like 25, though. And then when you go back and look at American Graffiti, which I did the other day on Laserdisc, you look 14.
Yeah.
But you don't look 27 now.
No.
So you're going backwards.
It's wonderful.
How'd the wife like the beard?
She lived with it. Didn't annoy her.
How did Harrison like the beard?
Well, I sort of liked it because I thought I was getting away with something for a period of time, and then people began to see through it.
My father was a judge, and he always told me, never trust a guy in a bow tie or a beard because they're hiding something. Now, I never knew if that was true.
No.
But he always kind of carried that. He was a judge in the 40s and 50s, so maybe that's true. Did you ever feel like you were hiding behind something there?
No, I'll tell you, the beard was occasioned by the need to change physically. The period of time of the film is about 3 weeks, so there wasn't time to grow a beard for disguise, but I could shave one off quickly enough. And I felt that we had to deal with the dramatic obligation to disguise me, and so we went through the beard and the hair dye job, but I didn't want to get into real disguise stuff, and for fear of me, it looked like a Peter Sellers movie.
I love the Fugitive television show. I still watch it. It comes on every afternoon on the A&E channel. Still watch it all the time. I love Jansen. I thought he was a great actor. I was with him the last day of the Fugitive. He was in Columbus, Georgia, shooting the Green Beret with John Wayne. And I was a kid, and I happened to be there at the Camellia Motel and saw him that day, and that was a big deal. Were you a fan of the television show? Did you ever watch it?
Can't say it really was. It was on at the same time as the Gary Moore show and the Kraft Mystery Hour or something, and then those won at my house.
But you stayed away from really on purpose watching any of the old series so you could totally fresh for you?
Yes, I did. I felt that I should make the character up out of the elements of this particular story and not imitate David Jansen's success.
The director did a great job with. I mean, the same things he did in this movie. I mean, it obviously has a lot of action, but there's good action, there's bad action, and he had it down. I mean, having these things, trains chasing you and stuff like that. I mean, what's Andrew Davis? He's just kind of the new whiz kid in Hollywood with action.
Well, Andy's been around for long enough to serve his apprenticeship and knows well how to make a movie. I think he is particularly gifted in the visual aspect of it. But in this case, he's not only managed that end very successfully, but he's balanced the two ends of the story, my character against Tommy Lee Jones's character, very successfully, I think.
I asked this question to Julia Roberts not long ago, and she got married because of it. But I'm going to find out something on here. I don't think anything that wild is going to happen to you.
We'll have a similar
I asked her
result.
who her favorite country person was if she listened to country music, and she said she liked Lyle Lovett. Lyle saw it, and he married her, and the rest is history. What is your musical taste?
It runs the gamut. I like everything from classical to country and a good deal in between.
What do you play on the radio when you're in the truck or car?
You know, I'm having a hard time finding music on the radio these days.
A lot of people our age are having that problem. We listen to oldies a lot. In fact, the kids know all the words to Volare. My 7-year-old knows Volare and The Lion Sleeps Tonight, and there's something not quite right about that. But I like it. I'm glad. So you're listening to oldie stations, huh?
Yeah,
60s
that,
music?
and I do like country music. I listen to a lot of country music.
Okay. What about you would you consider, or others would say, was eccentric? What would your wife say about you as eccentric? Is there anything you do that just bugs her?
I'm a neatnik. I'm very obsessive about having everything in its place. That drives her crazy.
Is that in everything, like in the car?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Are the kids neatniks?
No.
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 I know. This is a trend, by the way. I don't know if you realize you're not that unusual for a guy. Most people think we guys are sloppy, and I was when I was a kid. But as I got older, I became a neatnik, and a lot of the ladies are not as neat, and a lot of my children, I can't make them neat. That we're the only neatniks in the house, and that's kind of interesting.
Well, I wish you success.
Yes, it doesn't work. It doesn't help. Thank you again.
It's a pleasure seeing you again. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right, so there you have it. You heard from Tommy Lee Jones and you heard from Harrison Ford. If I found him again, if not, well, you just got me again looking stupid. So, but Terence, since you picked this movie, I have already decided what we're doing next week. Well, if you show up, or next month, whenever you show back up again. But I want to do one of my childhood favorites. And it's been a minute since I watched it, so bear with me. And the remake was terrible. But we are going to do the original Clash of the Titans.
Clash
it is
of the
time.
Titans. All right, yeah.
It is time. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've seen the original.
Okay.
I was also disappointed by
the remake. We'll talk about all that next week because it was terrible. But yeah, so if you haven't watched the Clash of the Titans, go ahead and check that movie out. So we do that, but
because we will spoil it.
Oh, we're gonna, man, it's such a good movie. And well, I ain't gonna say it because I could go on for an hour about what I'm about to say about Medusa. So
right,
we
next episode's gonna go really long.
Well, good, because after 3 months of absence, you think you could go along. So, well, this episode's coming. You got any final thoughts? Any Terrenceisms or anything?
Watch Fugitive if you haven't, and for some reason made it this far.
And please tell your friends, tell your family, tell an enemy. We don't care. Just keep everybody listening. But that's a wrap on this show. And cut.